I'm going to shift gears and connect with Glenn Saldanha, Chairman and Managing Director with Glenmark Pharma. Glenn, good morning. Thank you for joining us. We've got a mixed verdict from brokerages on how things have moved for Glenmark for the quarter gone by. Before we get into specifics, why don't you characterize the quarter for us in your own eyes? What's been the hit and what's been the miss according to you?
Sure. So I think Q1, Nikunj, we grew the business at about 7%, 7.5% on overall revenues. The EBITDA margins, we had some currency impact, but if you strip out the currency, our EBITDA margins grew compared to Q1 of last year. So I think, all in all, an okay quarter. Obviously, we expect, Q2 to be much stronger than Q1. And we continue to maintain our overall guidance of 10 to 15% top line growth for the full year.
Right. Let's talk now in depth about the kind of earnings that we've seen, particularly for the US business revenue. That came in at close to $105 million versus the estimates of close to $114 million. Do you think that the decline that we've seen in the Derma portfolio will continue to impact your sales?
Well, I think the bulk of the decline is on account of mupirocin, just one product, right, where we are seeing some changes in the reimbursement environment, and that's the reason why the US sales Q over Q was flat, compared to the same. I'm sorry, YOY was flat compared to the same period last year. I think, this quarter we're expecting a couple of big approvals. So we've pretty much hit the bottom as far as the US goes in Q1. And I think from here on, the US sales should grow back and start trending upwards.
Glenn, there seems to be a decline in the Derma portfolio. Is this more like a price erosion which is natural, and even the brokerages are mentioning it? This is something which normally happens with generic cycle. I mean, it starts at an uptake and then the price drop happens.
Well, I think Derm has been an attractive segment for a long time in the US, and I think the last 2 or 3 quarters we witnessed a number of, a lot of competition in the derm space. And we've seen quite a lot of price erosion happening. If you look at Glenmark, despite getting so many new product approvals, we're still not able to grow the top line substantially. Partially, that's because of the price erosion that we're seeing in derm and products like mupirocin. I think our view is Q1 was the bottom overall, right? So even as far as derm price erosion, we think it's hit its trough right now, and from here on the price erosion should be normalized to about a 5% kind of a regular price erosion.
Now, we understand that Glenmark is expecting 2 significant generic approvals, a limited competition injectable product and a topical product with CGT designation in the second quarter. Can you just tell us a little bit more about that and what kind of opportunity you see from these approvals?
Well, we think, both these approvals are big approvals. I can't talk too much about the specifics, but, they're both $350 million and $200 million products with limited competition. So I think they should positively contribute to the second quarter for us.
Which markets have is about debt. It's the debt levels have definitely changed from where they were. But in order to bring them down substantially, you've shared a roadmap. Are you committed to stick to that roadmap?
We are absolutely committed. And I think, the 2 things that we are doing, one is, of course, on our API business, we continue to work to try and bring in a minority investor. And then we have got a number of non-core assets which are getting divested this year. So I think overall we think leverage should come down by 700-800 crores this year. And then the other point is, if you look at our investments, we've been continuously investing in our innovation business, which has recently got spun out. So we invest almost 30 million a year in innovation. And starting Q4, we think we will start our capital raise in the US. So that should clearly help, increase the cash flows for the parent starting next year. So I think from here on, deleveraging should happen on a consistent basis.
Mindful of the fact that any large erosion in pricing in your current portfolio could have impact on your future cash flow, and this could delay your debt reduction plan?
Well, I think the core business continues to do well. So I think that is less of a concern. And we continue to grow from strength to strength on the core business. So I think there, it's a very stable business. We continue to grow 10-15% on a consistent basis. So I don't see that as a big issue.
Wrap it up. I've been tracking Glenmark for years and years now, and I remember the Glenmark in the last decade. The standout feature was that your capability on R&D and your ability to take the molecules higher to different level and then global partnership. That's the Glenmark I've reported a couple of years ago. That Glenmark is no longer visible to me. Why is that?
Sure. Well, it's very clear. The last 4 or 5 years, we've invested, close to $500 million on innovative research, right? And we've taken some significant investments, and we've created a lot of value in the portfolio. And I think the spin out that we've done in Newco, and once we do the capital raise, I think it'll be evident about the value that we've created for investors, particularly out of our innovation business. And then licensing is always, we have multiple options, whether we bring investors to value the company, or we go out and license to big pharma and give up some of the upside. So those are decisions that we'll keep making as we go forward. But our view is, I think post Q4, you should see a significant upsurge in the innovation side of Glenmark, and that's a completely different lever as compared to the rest of the business that we run, particularly the generic and the branded businesses that we run globally.
Molecules that you'll be licensing, because that really seems to be the USP. You've not seen too much movement on that front. What can we expect?
Well, we have 2 molecules in phase 2B, GBR830, which is a big product in immunology, and we have 27864, which reports phase 2B data in December, Jan. So, I mean, clearly these are both very exciting products, and then the oncology side. So we have multiple options of licensing on the innovation side, and we keep pursuing it. But as I said, I think the main real activity will start from Q4 of this year.
So much for taking time out and giving us a view on your quarterly earnings. We wish you all the very best.